started off with a dream by our own Kavita Gupta. And many students in this room, they participated in AP courses and AP testing, and at the end of the AP testing window, they take this huge sigh of relief, and then the AP teachers say, well, what are we going to do with these kids now that we've got them for the next 3 weeks? So they always came up with projects, but the projects were isolated to the classroom. The students knew what they were doing, the teachers saw what they were doing, but there were such brilliant, creative things going on in the classroom. The question naturally became, how do we make it bigger? How do we let other people see these fantastic questions and the fantastic thinking of our students? So Kavita said, let's try this. Maybe my AP Chem students, well, it didn't stop there, as you can see. So it became AP Chem to AP Science to AP US History to, well, what about music, to what about drama, and all of a sudden it became the model interdisciplinary event. And this is true learning and true modeling of learning at its very, very best. And so you are here to see a very special evening. It would not be possible, certainly without the vision of our teachers and the contributions that they have done working with our students, but certainly based on the generosity of the Tech Museum to open their doors on this special night so that we're not doing it in the Monte Vista gym, that we're doing it in this very, very special seating. So I welcome you tonight. I thank our experts for being here. You will meet with them in just a second, but we have a panel of experts that are awe-inspiring in themselves. So welcome, and thank you for joining us for Martian Deconstructed.
I still feel like I'm responsible for leaving Watney behind, even though he explicitly told me multiple times that it wasn't my fault. Now, if we're going to go back to Mars and save him, we'd be disobeying direct orders from NASA. If the probe launches incorrectly, we die. If we mess up the supply rendezvous, we die. If we mess with the Earth's gravity assist, we die. If anything goes wrong in this extra year and a half in space, we die. We're in? I thought you said that.
I took over a rover on Mars. That makes me a space pirate. Arrgh! I'm gonna die.
I think women have to be stronger than the people around them. I think that they have to be smarter because you have to be better than everyone else before you're even accepted. So, I guess that sounds conceited, but that's not what I mean. That's what I mean. You can't be mediocre, because if you're mediocre, then that guy who hires you, you will hurt it for every woman who comes behind you. Because, oh yeah, I hired a woman once and she wasn't that good. So you really have to be the top of your class, the top of your group, work hard, be smart, and really aim toward that. And I found that I was really, really lucky that the men that I worked with early on in my career were very encouraging and very positive. So there were a few that I did hear that, oh yeah, I hired a woman once. But for the most part, I had a really, really good group of mentors.
So for the men, if you could be on Robin's team, you want to be. I mean, the women that are at NASA are incredible, and so that's the upshot of it. Is that it's really hard to make it sometimes, but if you are fortunate enough to get to work with them, you're really lucky.
So naturally, we decided to do our project on something related to physics.
The problem that Mark Watney has is that he needs to produce enough water to hydrate his potatoes adequately. At the very beginning, you see a really powerful storm hitting Mark Watney. It's destroying his camp, it's blown him away, and it's because of that storm he's left behind him.
The scene that we explored in Martian is in the beginning when Mark Watney was hit by an antenna from a communication disc, and that punctured his suit as well as his abdomen. And even though he was hurt and he became unconscious, he woke up hours later, and he found that he survived because the blood from the puncture had coagulated, or in other words, had clotted up and sealed that suit. Not only, sealed the hole in his suit.
We're talking about the Iron Man scene. Yeah. Let's say you did that on the planet of Mars, the pressure would still be significant enough to have that jet out. Yeah, because there's still positive pressure in the suit. It's always so there would be like but they're crushing the episode out of the
I know the obvious purpose of cinema is to tell a story, but media holds it accountable for doing more than just that. Two very important questions, specifically accurate and does this represent our society? And it was very critical in fact-checking the film. It also criticized the Martian for not quote-unquote whitewashing the cast. There were two characters in the book that were Asian, and then in the filming of the movie, the actors were white and black. That was, so just the idea of like media putting this bigger responsibility on cinema, holding it accountable, maybe. 1843, she wrote some notes on her computer, and the looping method, and so she was actually discouraged from these notes being published in her name. Her male counterpart, Charles Babbage, was actually persuaded to sign his name instead of hers, so he can get the credit for her discovery.
Although we had service done by women, like in World War II, where we had the women Air Force service pilots or WASP, ultimately this wasn't really after the war seen as valuable, because we had to return to the cult of domesticity, which encouraged submissiveness on the part of women and told them that it would be better that they spend their time in the domestic sphere raising their children rather than partaking in efforts like those done by the astronauts of NASA as